Hey guys, welcome to my channel. So today's video is going to be about how I passed my ACE group fitness exam. And I took the test this morning and I passed it on my first try. So I just wanted to make a video about some tips that I did that helped me pass the exam. So when I first got my book and materials in the mail, the very first thing I did was print off the course description that comes once you log into acefitness.org into your account and set that up. You can print out this course description and it goes over your course materials that you have. So you have your instructor handbook or you have an ebook, the digital classroom, and then you have a practice test on there. And then on the second page, it goes over your time commitment. It says that they've included a sample course for a 14-week schedule. I wanted to take my time, so I printed this out and thought I could do, 2 chapters. I could read through 2 chapters a week. So if in this, it goes over like chapter 1, chapter 2, and then it tells you like read chapter 1 and then watch the videos online and then complete the chapter review and the quiz. So I would do chapter 1 and chapter 2 in 1 week, and I would make sure to do the quizzes, and I would go through and do the quizzes as many times as it took me until I got them right. And when I first started online with ACE, the quizzes were true and false, multiple choice, and fill in the blank. And so they were really hard. And then a few months after I started, they updated the material online and they made it so that the quizzes online matched what the test would be like, which I thought was much, much better. So yeah, it just basically goes over chapter 3, 4, 5, and all the things. So I would go in and they have little boxes, and I would go in and make a little check mark next to the things that I would do. Chapter 3, 4, 5. Some chapters had more videos to watch. Some of them had like the think it throughs. So anyway, yeah, I just printed this off and would refer to it, and then also I would get little email notifications from ACE telling me, hey, just giving you a reminder about this or something. So anyway, I went through, and the first time I went through my book, I just read every chapter, and I did 2 chapters a week. After I got to the end, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go in and reread the chapters, but this time I'm gonna take notes on them. And so I would go through and I would put little sticky notes on in throughout the book. So like this one and this one, I would write down the important things from each page or each chapter that I wanted to remember. And then after I did that throughout the whole book, I finally registered to go get CPR certified, and I got CPR certified last month. And then once you're CPR certified, you can register for the exam. And so I wanted to give myself enough time to go through the chapters again, a 3rd time before I took the test. So I scheduled it for 6 weeks after I got my CPR certification, which gave me enough time to start really trying to memorize everything in the book. Another helpful tip, what I did was I went to the back of the book, and in the back of the book it has a glossary with all the terms from each of the chapters in there. And so I would have like my mom or my friends quiz me on, so I didn't have to make like actual flashcards that would take forever. I would just have my mom like read the bolded terms, and then I would have to give her a description pretty closely to what it said. So that really helped me. And the test has 150 questions, so I figured there would be about 10 questions from each chapter. So I tried to figure out you know, the most important concepts from each chapter. And what I found beneficial in the book was that in each chapter, I mean, there's so much information in each chapter. It was hard to know what was going to be on the test, and so it was impossible to like memorize all of this. Muscles, the bones, what each exercise works. So anyway, what I found really beneficial throughout the book was that they have these little like boxes in each chapter. So I would really try to like highlight and memorize the boxes in each chapter, and then anything else. I think once they had updated the quizzes so they weren't like true or false and multiple choice and fill in the blank, once they updated the quizzes to be more like the test, I found that that was really beneficial. And I even think that some of the questions from the quizzes online were actually on the exam, which only like out of the 150, maybe I recognized 10 of them from the quizzes online, which isn't that many. So there was 140 questions basically that I had never seen before. And I don't know if you fail and retake it, if the questions are the same or not. So yeah, you guys, I would just recommend read it again, read it out loud, read it to your friends, have your friends or mom or family or whoever you can quiz you. I would read this book while I was at work. When I had downtime, I would read it on the weekends. I would read it when I came home from work, you know, over and over and over again. So, and I didn't rush through any of it. I really tried to understand it. So I hope these tips helped you guys. Read through the glossary, memorize the words, focus on, you know, cross out what you know and focus on the things that you don't know, that you're unsure of, and really try to memorize that especially. And one other thing that I did that I kind of regret doing was when I booked my test for today, I booked it for 9 o'clock this morning. And so I was up last night really late, like rereading the glossary and rereading as much as I can and watching as many videos online as I could from the ACE sections through the course descriptions, that I would re-watch all the material that was in there. And then this morning I woke up early before my exam, and I was trying to again refresh my brain right before I went into the test. And I wish I had scheduled it for a little bit later in the afternoon so that I would have had a little more time to refresh everything just one more time. But once I got to the testing center, they made sure I didn't have a cell phone. They made sure I didn't have anything with any notes on it. They made me pull my sleeves up and check my wrists, my hands, to make sure I had nothing written on them. They made me pull my pant legs up to make sure my ankles weren't had any writing or anything on them. So, and they do, you know, they do watch you. So you've got to know this stuff, you guys. You've got to somehow figure it out. And you know, I go to group fitness classes, so I would try to think of situations when I was in a class. What would the instructor do? Some questions like, what is the most appropriate thing to do in this situation? And I would think like, well, if I was in that class, and what would my group fitness instructor do or say to me that would help me out? So and if all else, you guys, the test is multiple choice, so you do have the process of elimination, which I used. And out of the 4, I was able to eliminate maybe 2 and choose the best choice I could from there. So I think that might have helped me out. And while I was taking the test, I got really nervous and I got really doubtful because I was like, oh man, these questions are getting really hard. And I felt like I was guessing on quite a bit of them and getting a little bit discouraged. But I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna keep going. You have 3 hours to take the test, and it took me an hour and a half, and I submitted it. I didn't feel that great about it, and I got the results. They give you the results immediately, and it told me that I had passed. I was like, heck yeah. So You guys, this test is a hard one, but I would just recommend studying, taking notes, and reading your glossaries.